Hey Tracy, jumping in here to your week number 5 assignment. Yeah, I mean, really important this week with the grill, with the oven, right? To really control your temperature, right? As you're talking about, I want to make sure everything is ripping hot, right? So the grill is nearly smoking, right? Really, really hot, and that the oven is at temperature before adding anything, just to make sure that you are getting some of that browning, right, without sacrificing the texture of the vegetable. And I love that you're thinking about that, and I love that you opted to obviously, not sacrifice, the texture of the vegetable, because I think ultimately that is important. That said, I think you get fantastic caramelization on these carrots, right? I'm definitely seeing, right, some of that browning happening, right? Some of the browning along the edges, right? Really beautifully done. I would say these are caramelized nicely, right? Obviously, some of this is spices, but I think some of it is also caramelization as well, right? Definitely, right? That very different than if you compare it to, right, the color of the raw carrots, right? Those are much deeper, obviously concentrated flavor, and definitely getting some of that browning. If Google would catch up with me, hold on one second. Right. So here is those, uncooked, right? And then that caramelized. Absolutely. Definitely beautiful job on those. So no problems there. Oblique cuts are fantastic too. Very consistent in sizing, and great job on that shaping. I'm not sure if these were, you mentioned burning your cauliflower. I would not call these burnt at all. I love some of that char. Definitely don't want to be afraid of any of that char. I think it's a great flavor. And again, I mean, giving cauliflower that little bit of dark char browning, and making sure that you're keeping the texture really nice and crisp, right? That crisp, tender quality, particularly with cauliflower, given that it's a part of that cabbage family, right? If I just overcook it ever so slightly, it's just going to take on that really awful sulfur aroma, right? And ultimately impact, right, the taste and flavor. There we go. Sorry with Google here. It's driving me crazy. Really beautiful job. Love the plating here. The tahini sauce looks really good. Definitely, it's a little bit on the thick side. You probably could thin it out ever so slightly. Not sure if you ended up shaking that tahini. Usually it's the opposite. If you don't shake it, actually, it usually turns out a little bit on the thin side. So yeah, a little bit on the thick side. You could probably thin it out, with either a little bit of lemon juice or just a little bit of water, depending on if it needed more acidity or not. The asparagus, you're starting out with asparagus that it got a little bit of age to it. It's losing some of its really vibrant green color. It's hard to find really good asparagus right now. Yeah, I mean, that also impacts the final kind of presentation here. Yeah, the grill pan, particularly with the grill pan, you want almost wisps of smoke coming off of that pan, getting that asparagus on. And even sometimes you could take, a fish spatula or an offset spatula, just press it down to make sure you're getting those really good hard char marks. But you do get some grill marks here, which is fantastic. And even better is you don't overcook that asparagus. Love the consistency you're taking the chimichurri to. I do like to have chimichurri more, right? Less of that totally homogeneous paste, right? And more of that kind of sauce where I can make out all of the different spices and herbs in there. So beautiful job on that. Great work. Would love to see it plated with something. Beets. I'm with you. It would be hard to kind of not eat these. You got some beautiful Chioggia beets, right? Those candy striped beets and some yellow beets. I would say you could probably pull back on the cooking a little bit. Beets are really delicious raw. They've got some really beautiful, vibrant, sweet flavor. And so, considering the fact that I'm going to be using this for a cold application, I don't want these too tender, right? I don't want them really, really soft. And so, where it just kind of has that look to it that they are pretty tender at this point. So you could just hold back ever so slightly, leave them, yeah, I want my knife to be able to kind of be able to, penetrate them without much resistance, but I don't want it to kind of slip through like butter. And then the other thing I would suggest is not necessarily cutting so much off the top. Doesn't seem like a big deal, when you're talking about, or the bottom, when you're talking about, 6 beats here. But it is, does have an impact if you were doing this, let's say for a lunch special, for a large event, right, where you're just ending up taking just a little bit too much off each one. So you could really just minimally trim it, roast it, and again, kind of at the end, minimally trim it without, I think you're just taking off a little bit too much on the top and on the bottom. Let me know if you have any questions.